Video number 3 in our series, Proper Forces.
How can you hit a golf ball with Carpenter's rule? Easy. You swing on a plane that passes through the ball with pulling forces that allow centrifugal force to straighten out the Carpenter's rule when it needs to. Same with your golf club.
Let's talk about what it takes to hit a golf shot down our intended target line with the right shape. We know we have to get the line angle correct at impact. We know that the loft is going to be set by the ball position in the loft of the club. And we know we want to get the face square to our intended line, or at least the way we want it for a draw or a fade or a straight shot. So the best way to do that would be to line it up the way we want it, get back here behind the ball and run as fast as we can. And we know that's not going to work because it won't go far enough. So we have to swing this club around our body in a circular motion in order to get any decent distance. Anytime you have the presence of circular motion, centrifugal force is created. You can see when I swing this ball on the end of a string that when I make a circle with my hand, what's in my hand, in this case the ball, makes a bigger circle. And I can control where the ball goes by controlling where my hand goes. Now you can see that if I move the center where my hand is, the ball moves to catch up with my hand. What we want to do is we want to keep our hand on the same plane that our golf club is going to be, and that plane will pass through the ball we're going to hit. Therefore, I can form a plane. You'll see that my hand is on the same plane that the ball is on. And if I move it, it would have to be a timing issue to hit that ball. But if I move it over the ball on the plane and create a plane that's going to pass through the ball, then as soon as it's at the right height, and you'll see as I lower it, hits the ball. And this is why we want to learn to swing on a plane. We want our hands on the plane, and our club shaft to be on the plane, and our club head will be on the plane also. With this hula hoop I made this out of some pipe I bought at the lumberyard and the fittings I put together to make a hula hoop. And you can see that you can learn that you're swinging on a plane by pulling this in a circle. We don't want to come over the top like this, or we don't want to cause a wobble in that plane. We want to try to swing on a plane. That circle should look kind of like our swing plane boards do. But from the front view, you can see I'm creating a circular motion. I'm pulling my club. I'm not pulling straight down and then trying to undo my wrist like that. So that's why you can see from this view that I'm trying to pull my club in a circle to create centrifugal force. And I'm trying to do it on plane. And you can sway and lean and still pull, but you don't want to go around your body coming off plane and then looping the club back. From this next view, we'll see that we want to be on a plane, and we already saw that we want to pull when we're on a plane. And this is the same thing you do when you practice with your laser. You want to pull on plane. Now let's look at this Carpenter's rule we saw earlier in the videos. The rivet that holds that together just allows it to swivel, just like the little rod and threaded piece here that allows this club to swivel. That's what our wrists are going to do in this golf swing. The only function our wrists have is to hinge like that. Our hands are just going to hold on to the golf club as lightly as we can without losing it, and just let our wrists work like that little rivet and that little thumb screw on the swing mechanism. In fact, you can see I can just hold that club with 2 fingers. Now, the rolling of the club, my wrist rolling over like that, isn't because I'm trying to do it with my hands. It's because the club head is offset from the shaft. And the weight of it, if we let it happen, just rotates on its own. We'll talk about that later when we get into grip in the first lesson on grip stance and alignment. Okay, in this front view, I just want to show that the forces we put in here are the pulling forces, because I'm always pushing on that brown triangle, which would represent our forearms in the golf swing. And that's what we want to swing our forearms, not our hands. And even though I'm pushing with my hand, because of the circle around the little stem that pulls the club is being pulled, not pushed, even though I'm pushing on my forearms. And here I'm swinging with much more force, but you can see that the result is the same. The club still, because centrifugal force straightens it out when it needs to, the amount of centrifugal force generated is directly proportionate to the speed of the rotary motion. It's because of that principle of physics that makes this a self-timing golf swing. This view just reinforces what we're trying to prove, which is if you swing on a plane that passes through the ball and you use the right forces, which are pulling forces, then centrifugal force will unleash the club when it needs to and make contact with the ball. And you don't have to time it. It's self-timing at any speed. So how do we learn to do this? Well, we use a laser. You'll see that the laser I put in the end of this swing mechanism, swinging on plane, actually traces the line on the floor, which would be the intersection of the plane itself and floor. So this will be our plane line. And putting a laser in your club, you'll be able to practice and make this line. There's something else I want to show you about this swing mechanism also. And that is the difference between a single lever system and a double lever system. And why we're going to use a double lever, which means we're going to hinge our wrists that give us a mechanical advantage. Anytime you add a lever to a system, you add a mechanical advantage. You'll see here that in a single lever system, the club head moves at the same RPM as the hands. Simply by hinging this, you create a double lever system. And now, even at this relatively slow swing speed, you can see that enough centrifugal force is generated to fling the club head ahead of the hands. You can generate 100 miles an hour club head speed by only swinging the hands and arms 20 miles an hour if you use centrifugal force to your advantage. In this next animation, these two videos, the single lever system on the left, double lever on the right, the red circles, A and B, designate starting and stopping of the hands, and A and B blue would be starting and stopping of the club head. When I animate these, the A and B reds travel basically the same RPM in the same distance, but you'll get much more travel out of A and B double lever system than you do A and B single lever system, which means that even though they traveled at the same RPM, same basic speed, the surface speed of the club head, or the distance it travels in the same amount of time, means it's traveling a lot faster, same amount of effort. So you have a more efficient golf swing, and you can control it easier also. Watch when it animates. The club on the right has to go from point A to point B in the same amount of time as the shorter distance on the left. Therefore, it must be traveling much faster. You may have heard the term casting or coming over the top. And those terms, sometimes I've heard them used interchangeable. I think they're two different terms. To me, casting is releasing the club early like this. It has to do with more creating a single lever system where you would lose club head speed. To me, coming over the top would be more of a swing plane issue, not creating a swing plane, or a club path issue that would give you more directional problems and contact problems than loss of club head speed because of single lever, double lever. This is going to show what happens when you use pushing forces and you cast early, how you create a single lever system into the ball, where basically by the time you get to impact, your hands and club head are moving at the same RPM. Pulling forces create centrifugal force, which allows the club head to travel much faster through the impact zone as it passes the hands. I'm not going to take the time to animate these two side-by-side photos, but they are of the swing on the left is the single lever system where I cast the club, and getting into the impact zone, I've lost all my lag, and my hands are now going to be moving about the same speed as the club head. But you can see how much lag is still stored up on the right-hand side when you're pulling it in a circle and creating the centrifugal force that is building up, so that in the next few frames, centrifugal force would be flinging that club head like it did in that little swing model when I used that device to show you earlier in the video, how the club head is going to travel in more space in the same amount of time. So therefore it has to be traveling faster. And that's why the double lever system is such an advantage. This concludes the video on forces. The forces we want to create, how to use those forces, why we need to use them, and if we use them on plane, how they'll help you do something that seems as difficult as hitting a golf ball with a carpenter's rule, but isn't really that difficult once you understand the principles and master them. So if you want to practice this system and you need a laser, there's a word to buy the laser in the link. And subscribe if you want to, or just keep an eye out for when I make new videos. This is number 3 in the series.